Okay. What's up, General Radon? Welcome in. I will not be doing the date with pause. Because it sounds sus. I realize that Big Boss is morally questionable, and that the age of consent was in Japan and was 13 at the time, and maybe the mission is a joke, but I will I will not be participating in such a thing. That is very important to the game. Well, luckily, I pulled up a guide as all the notifications on my tablet go off because I haven't had it on in a while. This is the tablet that got me through Final Fantasy XI. So I'll be following a guide to help find out what exactly I need to unlock Chapter 5, because I want to move on with the story. The game is a lot of fun, but yeah. It's just like, so that way I'm not like mindlessly, trying to figure out how to unlock Chapter 5. Because, I mean, to my knowledge, I don't think the missions have been unlocked. Cheers, by the way. I can't do what? Yeah, it doesn't look like... Because Isaac and I had to talk about this. I was like, I want our podcast to be the ultimate Metal Gear podcast. You can if you're stuck. I've not used the guide at all up to this point, I don't think. But because we did get the credits after the Peace Walker battle. No, I'm saying I've not looked up a guide until after finishing Chapter 4. So I don't think I've used, other than having other people help. I used a guide for Metal Gear in the MSX Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, because those games are really difficult to do without a guide. Yeah, I know that it's not technically the end. It's like, I thought about it. We're gonna, to be clear, we're gonna cover Chapter 5 on the show. But I wasn't sure. Like I said, I am still learning about these games, and I talked to Isaac, who is kind of the expert, because he's played most of these games before, and I didn't want to Google it and potentially get spoiled. I was like, do we need to do Chapter 5? Because it's like, I'm trying to think, the only other game I've seen that has kind of done this is the original Spyro, where after you beat Nasty Nork, you have like the 4 other dragon heads that you unlock by finding like eggs and the remaining dragons and stuff like that, and then you get extra fun missions after the story, but it's not necessarily further story content. So I didn't know if Chapter 5 was just going to be more like missions that had nothing to do with what's going to happen in Metal Gear Solid 5. But, my co-host has informed me that Chapter 5 does have a lot to do with what happens in Ground Zeroes and Peace Walker, and that's all he said. It's because I didn't want anything spoiled, and I was like, okay, if it's important to the story, then we will do it. Because what we were gonna do initially was, if it wasn't story content, if it was just more of the game, we were just gonna do it on a Redux. We were gonna do Chapter 5 on like a Redux, but that's not what we're doing. I'm excited to keep playing. So I had my suspicions on what I would probably need to unlock Chapter 5. It's like I suspected. It's like some of these I kind of guessed already, so I at least wanted to make sure I wasn't wasting my time. So, customize parts, main parts. Okay. So I suspected it was probably to complete Metal Gear Zeke, because that would make sense. I mean, the series is literally called Metal Gear. And then, so we're going to work on getting parts for our Metal Gear. Oh yeah, and this is something I wouldn't have figured out. It's like I'm trying to think, what other games have I used? I used a guide for the original Final Fantasy. Because, you know, I feel like, you know, people can have different opinions. That's fine. If you're not having fun with the game and you need help, it's okay. Like, I mean, it's the equivalent of, like, if I was playing this in high school and I asked my buddy Jesse, like, hey, I'm stuck in Peace Walker. Can you give me tips on what to do next? You know. And then most of the games at this time still had strategy guides, which I thought about buying a strategy guide for Peace Walker, but they're like $50 to $75. So
Snake, that's the Chrysalis weapon.
So we need to try. I need to try to get the railgun from the Chrysalis weapon without damaging the. Because I don't have the railgun, right? Right, right. No, I'm not expecting, and I wouldn't expect anybody to tell me what happens. Just what I need. That's what I have. Is these are what you need to unlock the ending. Finish Metal Gear Zeke. Upgrade Mother Base Intel to level 40. So I'll do those, and I'll see what happens. And I think you were somebody that helped me, and I apologize if I don't remember which. I know, like, you helped me with most of these bosses, which I really appreciate. Clearly, I think a lot of these bosses would be much harder without help. Speaking of Jesse, he was somebody I worked with at my first job out of high school. So it was like, yeah, well, I'm a noob. Yeah, I'm a noob at these games. Full on stop. Oh yeah, Jesse's real. He's kind of technically my introduction into the series. I come into work one day. It was like 2014, I think, or something like that. And I come into work, and he's visibly, like, kind of in a bad mood. And so it's like we're, working on the bottling line, because we worked in a bottled water plant together. And I was like, hey, are you all right? And he kind of mutters, they replaced Snake. And I'm like, what do you mean they replaced Snake? Like, no context. Like, I had no idea what the hell he's talking about. And he's like, they got that motherfucker from 24 playing Snake. So, as I remember that conversation, very clearly, and he goes on to explain that the original voice actor for Snake has been replaced with Kiefer Sutherland, and he was very upset about that. And that's kind of probably how I learned about the Metal Gear Solid series. And I like Kiefer Sutherland. I like 24. I've been told. I'm sure he's great as Big Boss. We talked about this on the show. If they had just replaced Big Boss right at the beginning of Metal Gear Solid 3, or if they hadn't cast David Hayter at the beginning of Metal Gear Solid 3, I don't think that, and somebody else had played Big Boss from 3, Peace Walker, and then 5, it probably would have been fine. Yeah, I'm excited to watch interviews with Kiefer Sutherland from around that time to see what he had to say about working on the game. So I've stayed away from it because I don't want anything spoiled. Yeah, if you want to jump in. I want to try to get this railgun. I feel like 3 people is good enough.
Survival.
24 is a really terrific series. I think the best series, oddly enough, was the mini-series that came out. When was that? It was called 24 Live Another Day or something like that. That was only 12 episodes. So it's sometimes the show could kind of drag out. Because it was 24 episodes a season. But I thought that the 12 episode miniseries was a really good way tighten the story and the action. All right. Oh, and I know you're just teasing. It might sound like I'm kind of being serious at times, but I very rarely take anything personal. I did hear about that they didn't change the Japanese voice actor. All right.
Take out the chrysalis. That thing needs to be eliminated once and for all.
So I'm almost afraid to go too hard. I don't want to damage the freaking.
Oh, it's getting big. Careful you don't lose sight of that chopper. If you lose sight of the enemy, look for the red light.
Good lord. You guys do way more damage than I do. But, you know, it's 700 hours versus, you know, just 19. Waiting for it to land. Of course, it's got a part.
It's the cylindrical structure. Hurry up and get in the AI pod. Otherwise it will react.
Man, I feel like I did very little work. In my defense, though, I was kind of afraid to like shoot at it. I was like, what if I damage the railgun? The railgun looks like it's still in good shape. Sweet. Alright.
Pull out all the unlocked memory boards. Pull out the memory boards. All the unlocked boards will have icons over them. Any boards you remove can be used to build our own AI weapon. Memory boards have different functions according to the icons displayed over them. Go ahead and take whichever ones you want. If you attack parts on the exterior of the machine, the memory boards that control those parts should light up. You can tell what a memory board does by looking at its color when it lights up.
All we got left is yellow, so... Oh, I got one more. Good job, team. Heck yeah. Whew. Would not have gotten that alone, that's for sure.
Snake,
She played me like a piano.
forget about it. You'll get him back. That is, as long as you've got the will to do it.
I am not.
Okay. I thought maybe that was new dialogue. Yes. Got the railgun.
Snake, we fitted Zeke with its own AI pod.
Metal Gear. Purple. Okay, so we have the railgun. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get my intel to 40. What is my intel at right now? 15. Oh, go figure it. Hideo has some good intel. With what? With help with what part? Pause. Ow. Sorry, so my cat is wanting some serious attention. Let's see where we get Huey. But if you want to go ahead and put it in the chat, go right ahead. Good old silkworm. So we're at 26. Gerbil. All right, 29, so I need 11 more intel. Rescue Chico mission has snipers that are high-ranking intel soldiers. Okay. I vaguely remember that mission. Why do I need the Fulton mine? Can't I just go up to them and capture them? Ah, stop. Come here. Hold on, I might...
Snake,
I might actually have that. Give me a second. I thought somebody gave me something like that. I might be thinking of something else. Is it under weapons? Okay, so I don't have it. I think it was the sleeping gas that I was thinking about, or maybe it was a supply marker. Right, but I don't have any. Right? Yeah, it says time 0. So right? Like if I equip it. Right, due to material storage. Because I've not. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that, because I've not made any myself, all the ones that I've gotten. And don't worry, man. Once we record the Peace Walker episode, I'm gonna, I have a list of the people that I've played with through this game that I'm gonna thank on the show. No worries.
The direction Amanda's Sandinistas were going corresponds to the location of the next outpost, a supply depot. We should be able to make contact.
Oh, I mean, I don't mind. I think it's cool that you can play this game with other people. I think it's awesome. It's almost like a precursor to Death Stranding, where Kojima wanted to really
Survival.
encourage people to help each other out. This is the troublemaker right here. It's like she paws at me to pet her, and then she runs away when I reach for her, and then as I go back to playing, she's like, oh, now I want your attention again. It's like, yeah, she's really sweet though. Would you knock off? All right.
They've got reinforcements coming.
Hold up. God damn it, I forgot the Fulton.
The direct... The direction emit... Careful. They've got reinforcements coming.
I think I see some enemies close by.
Shit.
Enemy sighted. Requesting backup.
Understood. Dispatching reinforcements now.
Oh shit! Oh, you dirty little... Sleepy, I know a place you guys could stay.
Fulton recovery subject confirmed onboard helicopter. Fulton recovery helicopter is complete. Fulton recovery subject confirmed onboard helicopter.
Nailed it. I will. Let me finish this mission. I appreciate that. Here's another guy. No?
Amanda went across that rope bridge. Hurry.
Yeah, I remember that rope bridge. So you think Snake would have I'm sorry, Big Boss would have a phobia of rope bridge? Especially after the boss threw him off one.
know silver spots. They apparently eat poisonous leaves and store the poison in their bodies.
It's really interesting. Alright. Study hands. Study hands.
You might be able to get past the enemy by hanging from the bridge. Press the action button near the bridge's handrail to hang.
It's a little late for that, Miller.
You can't hang down when you're crouching. Fulton recovery helicopter is complete.
It's like you would think that Miller would, you know, the way that Miller talks, you would think that he's the boss. More spots do I have to go? I wonder. Damn, I was gonna call on a supply box.
Can't be imagining things.
Almost there.
Careful now. They might be holding FSLN soldiers prisoner.
Crap. Oh, I already rescued the prisoner. Yay. That's who that's who Big Boss should go on a date with. Amanda, not Paz. So, when was it? It was one of the last cutscenes of Chapter 4 where she went to hug and I thought she was straight up going to kiss him. Alright, let's let's see. You got mail. Am I in the right place? Select. Oh, so I am in the right spot. I mean, that's okay. Let me place these real quick. Wow. I just completed a mission though. What about the guys that come out of like that armored vehicle? Let me see. Those guys have got to have high stats, right? Oh shit, I unlocked something. Okay. Well, let's do this and see what happens.
Snake, Zadornov has escaped custody. Find him.
Well, this wasn't here before, so... Do I have... Okay. Let's do it. Chapter 5, hell yeah. So which Metal Gear... This might be a dumb question, Mr. 700 Hours. Which Metal Gear Solid is your favorite?
Find Zadornov and bring him back here.
Right now, mine is Metal Gear Solid, the PS1 classic. And I've played Metal Gear, Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, and now Peace Walker. Metal Gear Solid 3, like, for a while, I was thinking about having as my favorite. I could see how somebody could definitely sink a bunch of hours into this game. It's addicting.
Enemy!
Damn it.
We're under attack! Going to alert status!
Understood. Maintain heightened alert.
But the fact that you play with other people is also really awesome.
Check any out-of-the-way spots. I have a sneaking suspicion Zadornov's around there.
Okay. these spots. Am I gonna find him and he's just gonna be like hiding? I mean, that's out of the way. Let's see, do I see anybody? Should I call you General 700 Hours?
Fulton recovery helicopter is complete.
I think I see someone.
Well, I mean, maybe with the Master Collection, that version of the game will be heavily populated. It stinks that they're putting, you know, the Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation version behind, like, the Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, and Nintendo Online thing. But it's pretty cool that, you know, it's like for the most part, I've only had to wait maybe like 5 to 10 minutes for other people to pop in. But the best thing about the PS3 version is that the online's free. Yeah, I think it was, you know, about 5 to 10 minutes. You know, for the most part, I've gotten guys from, like, Mexico. Yeah, which is crazy to think about.
Enemy attack!
But yeah, you're probably right. I mean, I imagine, around the, when this game came out, whether it was on PSP or PlayStation 3. Man, I could not imagine attempting to play this on a little tiny screen. Like, I know some PSPs you could connect to a TV, but still, it's clear that this game was designed with like short stints of play in mind. Oops. Is slightly shittier. Oh, okay. So you think maybe they bumped up the difficulty once the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions came out?
I heard something. Can't be imagining things.
Nighty night. They upped the frame rate. You see this game has a lot of frame locked animations, so the faster here. That makes sense. There is a part of me that wants to try the PSP version. But I don't know if I'll ever do that. I just went through this place. So we'll be playing Metal Gear Portable Ops and Acid for the show. So eventually I'm going to have to get a PSP. So I guess if I can find a version of Peace Walker... Oh, I hear somebody. For a decent price, maybe I'll get it. But I can't imagine that the PSP is still capable of playing online.
Guess not.
We'll be playing it for the show at some point. It'll be season 2 in our non-canon games. I know, like, there's still kind of some debate on whether or not Portable Ops is canon or not. It's like from what I understand, it's like 50-50. So
Search every inch of that area.
I'm working on it.
Something up.
That's the way.
Fulton recovery helicopter is complete. Try using Fulton recovery on him.
Got him.
Head for the recovery zone. We'll pick you up
Recovery
there.
zone. That's new. Where the heck is that? Oh, okay. It's not that far. I was worried I was going to have to go all the way back.
Mission complete. Great job.
So I know the Acid games are like a card-based system or something like that, which sounds really bizarre. Hey, 100 times.
So, you found me.
That's right, Steve
Wasn't
Blum. I
hard.
found you.
What are you up to anyway?
Just go.
Yeah, don't tell me anything.
Kaz, I've got Zadornov returning home.
Acknowledge, Snake.
I mean, if we're gonna do...
Package for you, boss.
I got a package.
Yeah, looks like a cassette tape. Don't worry, it's clean. No trace of explosives or anything. Return address just says Eva.
Eva,
What?
Someone you know?
an old acquaintance.
Yeah, acquaintance.
Oh, the plot thickens. Tidings from an old flame?
Don't start, Kaz. Anyway, I'll check it out later.
Okay, just don't go running off after this chick. We can't afford for you to be distracted right now.
It's the blonde with the big memes. It's like when I was playing through Metal Gear Solid 3 and she pulls her memes out to, clearly to distract us. I was like, I don't trust her. She's clearly trying to seduce Big Boss. Naked Snake at the time. And I was right. I was right. And the okay. Okay, maybe I have to listen to her tape here. I thought it would be in my inbox for sure.
Snake.
Holy crap.
Hello, Snake. It's been a while, hasn't it?
What, like 10
I
years?
hear you've been causing causing quite the ruckus in Nicaragua. Nothing much to report from my end. The legacy's being put to good use. Or so they tell me. But enough with the small talk. There's something I need to tell you.
Uh-oh.
You saw the photo that came with this tape, right? The boss gave that to me. 10 years ago. I'm sorry, I should have told you sooner. I probably should have told you right away.
That was my thought, too.
But sending it to you hasn't been an easy decision to make. It's taken me 10 years.
At least it wasn't 80 years.
Once you've heard what I have to say, you'll understand why. That photo belonged to her. I know what you're thinking. What does she have to do with this? You've probably seen it 100 times in the press already. Obviously, it's of the Mercury 7, the first group of American astronauts, the heroes of Project Mercury. But there were actually 8 people in that photo. One of them was edited out, erased, without a trace.
Okay.
That 8th astronaut, the one airbrushed out of existence, that was her, Snake. Now, why did they need to keep her existence a secret? What were they trying to hide? The answer goes back even further. 17 years ago. It was the height of the Cold War. The Eastern and Western blocs were racing to develop space technology to match their nuclear arsenals.
It was a really... I mean,
In
hey, that
1957, the Soviet Union
all it
launched
takes is one
Sputnik
time
1,
sometimes.
the first artificial satellite. The Americans were stunned. They'd been led to believe their country
Which is crazy. Like, there are some couples that will spend years trying to get pregnant with no success, and then
If the
a
Russians had to
one-night
know how to launch a satellite
stand,
into space,
boom,
they could
there's a
use it
baby.
to launch a nuclear missile too. Frantic, the U.S. threw everything it had into the space race. The following year, the Army succeeded in launching the first American satellite, Explorer 1. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration was established that fall, and Project Mercury with it. The goal was to send a man into space, and 7 men were chosen as pilot candidates. The media dubbed them the Mercury 7. They were immediately hailed as national heroes, icons of Western space exploration. But after Explorer, America suffered a series of failed rocket launches.
Okay.
Desperate, the government made a fateful decision. Unable to wait for its space program to mature, they'd steal the Soviets' technology, at the same time sabotaging their space program. You know better than anyone how hard a mission that was. The Soviet space program was shrouded in secrecy. Recovering that information would be no easy task. Using the help of an insider, they'd insert a sleeper agent into the research institute, or else recruit one of those insiders to do the job for them. And, if necessary, the mission leader would have to go in and sort things out themselves. Someone was needed with experience, knowledge, and superior intuition. And the only one for the job was the boss. The president himself asked for her by name. He needed someone who could be trusted with the fate of a nation. Who else to turn to but the hero of the Second World War? It was June 1959. So you see, Snake, that's why she left. That was the top secret mission that took her from you. But her selection ruffled a few CIA feathers. They didn't appreciate the president going over their head like that. The mission was tough enough already, and now the CIA was dragging its feet. She couldn't get anything out of them. No manpower, no information. Left to her own devices, the boss made a decision she knew would come back to haunt her. She decided to tap into the Philosopher's Network. And that's when the wheels of fate began to turn.
I'm going to stretch my legs real quick because I feel like this is going to be a long set of tapes. And I've been sitting for almost an hour. Remember, blood flow is blood flow. Yeah, blood flow is very important. I'll be right back. Alright. I brought a snack. Do like a Metal Gear mech bang.
The secret society of power brokers formed in a pact between the U.S., Russia, and China
This
in
feels
the
very
early 20th
important.
century. Of course, by that time, the American and Soviet branches had already parted ways. But there were those among the remaining Russian philosophers not entirely happy with the one-party communist state. The boss reached out to them. She arranged clandestine meetings in Berlin, hoping to find a way into OKB-1, the Soviets' premier design bureau. She worked tirelessly to win their sympathy, in some instances using huge sums of cash, in others, by helping them over the Berlin Wall. It was a dangerous game to be playing. The philosophers had everything on her, and not just information either. She'd given birth to a child on the battlefield, only to have them immediately snatch it away. I know she told you that story. If that child was in the hands of the Soviet philosophers, she'd be putting more than just herself in danger. But she did what she had to do. At the time, the Soviet Union was believed to have an arsenal of missiles far greater than that of the United States. If that proved to be the case, Moscow would be free from the yoke
Still
of
have some
nuclear
theories on who
deterrence,
that baby might be.
raising the possibility that the Soviets might actually
Don't tell
launch
me.
nukes if they felt it necessary. As you know, the so-called missile gap turned out to be a Soviet bluff. Moscow had gone to incredible lengths to perpetuate the lie. In fact, the whole space race was really just a part of an elaborate ruse. Only we didn't know that at the time. She used to joke that even she swallowed the whole missile gap story, hook, line, and sinker. She put her life on the line, for the sake of her country, to prevent nuclear war. And it was because of
The
her
needs of the many
sacrificial
outweigh the
efforts
needs
that
of the
America
one.
succeeded in placing a sleeper agent inside OKB-1. NASA began to receive huge volumes of technical data from the Soviet program. By the end of 1959, they'd succeeded in sending a chimpanzee named Sam on a ballistic rocket flight. The rocket never left the atmosphere. But all the same, it was a
I think I
huge
might have made that
success for
joke.
NASA, restoring
Or
confidence in
that
its
it was,
technology.
or that
Then,
she
just
had
as
an
the
affair
operation
with
was starting to produce results,
Otacon's
the
dad.
CIA came calling. You're a war hero, they said. No need for you to dirty your hands with this sort of black ops. We'll take it from here. In effect, they wanted to reap the rewards for themselves. But the boss didn't object. My part is over, she said. I don't care what you do with the data now. It seemed as if NASA was making great strides toward manned spaceflight while the Russians lagged behind. They even got a report from their mole at OKB-1. The safe return of Sam has sent our scientists into a panic, he said. Soon afterward, the Soviet Union sent an animal of its own into space on Sputnik 2, the dog Kudryavka, better known to the world as Laika. But Laika was fated never to return to Earth. The U.S. can recover its spacecraft from the ocean upon re-entry. But the Soviet Union only borders the frozen Arctic. They had to bring their spacecraft down on land. How could they soften the impact enough to bring a living creature back safely? The agent reported that the Soviets hadn't yet found a solution to that problem.
Oh, poor doggy.
The plot to sabotage the Soviet space program seemed to be working, too. First, they tampered with Sputnik 4's re-entry. Then, 2 months later, one of their rockets exploded on the launch pad. They did manage to send 2 dogs into orbit aboard Sputnik 5 and return them safely to Earth. But the agent dismissed it as a fluke. Dogs, sure, but humans? They didn't have the technology. Everybody believed it. Everybody was complacent. Everybody. Except the boss. There was something about the Sputnik 5 schematics they were getting that didn't seem right. Some kind of ejection device on the capsule that didn't quite belong. She couldn't figure out the reason why it was there. What was it supposed to eject? NASA shrugged off her concerns. They figured it was probably meant to eject the flight recorder in case of an accident. The boss pleaded with them to investigate, but the CIA wasn't having it. They probably thought she was trying to reclaim some of the glory for herself. The boss wouldn't give up. She decided to head to the Soviet Union herself, alone, without any backing from the CIA. By the beginning of the next year, 1961, she'd succeeded in infiltrating OKB-1. That's when she saw the truth for the first time.
My first question is, how do you know all this?
The sleeper that she'd worked so hard to place was a double agent. He'd been turned by the Soviets and was feeding the Americans lies. But what shocked the boss even more was why. The CIA's access agent had been taking a large cut of the sleeper's pay. The sleeper felt what little he was left with wasn't worth the risk. When he got a better offer from Moscow, he took it. At some point, the Americans' intelligence operation had become an open book to the Soviets. And contrary to what the sleeper had been reporting, the Soviets' manned spaceflight technology was quite advanced. It wasn't until she infiltrated OKB-1 herself that the boss learned the truth about Sputnik 5. After the spacecraft re-entered the atmosphere, it ejected the pilot, seat and all, at an altitude of 7,000 meters. It was the Soviet solution to the problem of land recovery.
Okay.
The mystery device attached to Sputnik 5 was for that purpose. The pilot would parachute down from that high altitude wearing a bulky spacesuit. Crazy, I know. The Soviets knew exactly how dangerous it was, of course. So much so that they gave Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space, a special 2-rank promotion before re-entry.
2 ranks,
Only
huh?
Moscow could come up with this kind of plan. With total state control over information, they could easily pretend it never happened in the event of a failure. The boss passed the info on to NASA. It was their worst nightmare. The glory of mankind's first spaceflight was about to be stolen from them by the Soviet Union. It was Sputnik all over again. And the CIA was caught no less off guard. Their ineptitude had caused the fiasco in the first place.
What? Government
The
ineptitude.
Soviets' deception was brilliant. They'd woven a masterful tapestry of truth and fiction to convince the Americans their intelligence operations were proceeding as planned. No one but the boss could have seen through it. It was obvious the Soviets had some gifted minds working on their side. But that certainly didn't excuse the CIA's massive failure. The CIA wasn't done, though, and devised an ingenious plan to avoid taking responsibility. Luckily for them, a new president had been elected the previous November, John F. Kennedy. As he didn't know the case history when taking office, the CIA was able to feed lies to his new administration. They masked their own failures, placing the blame squarely on the boss's shoulders. After
Again?
all, she'd selected an unreliable sleeper. They claimed she'd failed to make use of one of the most effective means of controlling a sleeper agent's actions: holding their family hostage. The boss was well aware that would have worked. She told me so later, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. It seems clear it had to do with having her own child taken. She could never inflict the same pain on anyone else. The CIA used that against her. In his election campaign, Kennedy had vowed to close the missile gap with Moscow. If America lost the space race, that promise would be worthless. The fact that the president had no links to the philosophers only made things worse. He was completely unaware of the secret networks she'd used to complete her mission. In his eyes, she was no better than a traitor. The fate that awaited her was cruel beyond belief. order came down from above. The boss would take the official blame for the sleeper's betrayal. More so, she'd serve as the guinea pig for NASA's manned spaceflight program. By then, NASA had gotten as far as sending a chimp named Ham into space. Now came a whole battery of ground tests to pave the way for a human to take its place. High G tests, zero G tests, spacesuit tests, simulations in pressurized oxygen environments. Some of the tests were highly dangerous, too dangerous for the Mercury 7, who were by then already media darlings. So the boss was made to stand in for them. She could have refused the order, argued her side of the story against the CIA, but she didn't. The way she saw it, her military experience made her a potentially valuable asset to those tests. She felt it was her duty to accept. She soon proved herself right. The boss was more than just a guinea pig. She drew on her experience to give the staff focused advice exactly where it was needed. NASA's space program took off again. At the rate they were going, putting a man in space seemed within reach. The higher-ups at NASA were impressed with her talents. They took to calling her the 8th astronaut, the Mercury Lady. The photo I sent you was taken around that time. I suppose maybe they were planning to use it as propaganda, the world's first female astronaut. But then, just as things were looking up, they hit a new snag. The government told them to add a window. There were no windows in NASA's spacecraft back then. Ham never saw the stars around him. But Washington insisted. Their sources told them Soviet spaceships had windows. Space exploration as a form of propaganda in itself.
True.
After all, what was the point of sending a man into space if he couldn't tell the world what he'd seen? Most of all, though, they simply couldn't have the Russians doing something they couldn't. It was sheer madness, and everybody knew it. NASA was already facing impossible deadlines. Now they were adding yet another element of uncertainty to the mix. Installing a window would both weaken the spacecraft and make it harder to shield the occupant from cosmic rays. They weren't about to put their Mercury 7 golden boys in that kind of danger. So the boss was chosen as the pilot instead. Even if she made it up into space, she was given less than a 20% chance of returning to Earth alive. But she took it in stride, even helping them make the necessary design changes to the Mercury capsule. It was like going to work every day at NASA to make her own coffin. Then, without warning, the U.S. received intelligence that the Soviets had moved their Vostok spacecraft to the launch site. The launch was set for the following day, April 12th, 1961.
You know, I figured the boss's backstory might be hinted at more in future titles, but I didn't expect it to go to this length. Not just with these tapes, but with other stuff that has appeared throughout Peace Walker. Like, obviously, the boss's passing, or I guess death, however you want to say it, at the end of 3 left a huge impact. And I mean, it is very impactful. Like, when I fought her in the game, I used all on non-lethal methods. Like, I used my tranq gun was the only weapon I used during that fight because I didn't want to kill her. I didn't want to do it. And I half expected it to be like when I killed Ocelot in that game, for it to be like a Snake, you messed the timeline. But no, even in the cutscene, when I wouldn't
America couldn't let the Soviets
pull the trigger, Snake did it for me.
NASA was forced to cut short the testing process and move the launch date up. They pulled out all the stops to get it scheduled for the earliest hours of the next day. The spacecraft would be launched from Cape Canaveral in the dead of night. For the flight path, they chose a course that would take her as far east as possible. She'd be able to see the Earth in daylight from the window. at least for a little while. The boss climbed into the Mercury capsule, having completed less than 80% of the regular flight procedures. Both the timing and the flight path were risky, and testing was far from complete. But NASA had no other choice. The boss, for her part, never expected to come home alive. She was going on a one-way trip, the American version of Laika the dog. And yet she went all the same. Someone has to be first, she said. If fate has chosen me, then I accept. For my country, for the balance of the world. That's how she saw things. My chances may be slim, but I'll take them. I've accepted my fate. If anyone can get through this, I can. Then, on April 12th at 1:30 in the morning, the boss entered space.
So I imagine Big Boss is smoking a cigar while listening to these.
First, that she'd made it in an incomplete spacecraft. And second, that her flight coincided almost exactly with Gagarin.
Exactly.
As the sun rose over the horizon, and cosmic rays began to bombard her through the window, she saw the Earth. I think you've heard the story before. It was a world without borders, a perfect jewel. All nations, all ideologies. They seemed so far away. It almost made her laugh, knowing that they'd risked so much to beat the Soviets by a few short minutes. If she'd seen Vostok from her window, she probably would have waved. But the two spacecraft were destined for very different fates. Gagarin circled the Earth and returned to the Soviet Union, safe and sound. The Mercury capsule, on the other hand, deviated from its planned re-entry angle. The addition of a window had thrown the capsule's aerodynamics off balance. The boss's coffin veered wildly off course and began to plunge earthward.
Mad respect to astronauts, by the way. You know, it takes some courage.
The course deviation caused the capsule to miss its splashdown point by a wide margin. It didn't have enough time to decelerate before crashing into the sea. The force of the impact shattered the spacecraft before it started to sink like a stone. The boss used the last of her strength to escape to the surface. Her body was covered in bruises and scorched by radiation. It was a miracle she was still alive. She slipped into a coma and didn't regain consciousness for 6 months.
Yikes.
To some, what was worst of all was that she had lost the space race to Gagarin by only a few minutes. That aside, it should have been a proud day for America. Its first manned spaceflight. Sadly, her accomplishment was kept out of the history books. An attempt to save face by Washington. In contrast to Gagarin's orbital flight, America had only managed a ballistic trajectory. Her flight time was much shorter, too. And most importantly, the Soviets had brought back both spacecraft and pilot safely. NASA couldn't even conjure up a half-hearted tale of heroic survival. The coup de grace, though, was the Soviet propaganda campaign that kicked into gear after the flight. The Earth was blue. Those were the words of Gagarin on his return, and the whole world was listening. In the blink of an eye, Gagarin was an international celebrity, earning accolades from every corner. It was a PR coup for the Soviet Union. Meanwhile, Washington could only grit its teeth in silence. They decided there was no value in making the boss's flight public, that it would only make matters worse. So they buried it instead, labeling it a dark mission. NASA and the CIA did everything in their power to erase all traces of the boss from Project Mercury. The result was the photo you see before you. Not a bad job, huh? Not only did they expunge her flight from the records, they denied that she ever existed. And that wasn't the end of it. As an alibi, the military claimed she'd taken part in the CIA's botched Bay of Pigs plot to take back Cuba. And when the boss was finally well enough to return to service, they wouldn't take her back. She was forced to go underground. In the public eye, the boss was still a hero of World War II. In reality, though, she was anything but that. She was a non-person, fit only for the blackest of black ops. In effect, she may as well have been dead. Gagarin went on a worldwide tour in front of millions of adoring fans. The boss, meanwhile, was a walking secret, unable to breathe a word about her experience. The authorities in Washington had this to say: "Why are you still here? If only you'd had the decency to give us a nice quote like Gagarin and then die an honorable death, you'd have gone down as a hero." 3 weeks later, on May 5th, Alan Shepard, one of the Mercury 7, made his own ballistic flight. They sure didn't try to cover up his achievement. Of course, he owed his success to the lessons learned from the boss's tragedy. Before sending Gagarin up into space, the Soviets had used a mannequin called Ivan Ivanovich to test the landing procedure, which would make the boss America's version of a crash test dummy. But she didn't care. "I'm happy to be the dummy," she said, "if it'll help the project succeed. Nothing would give me greater satisfaction." And that still wasn't the end of it. The boss had worked through the anti-Moscow faction of the Soviet Union's philosophers to place the sleeper agent, and at some point, the Soviets found out about it. Yet the Americans remained oblivious to the end. Even the philosopher network the boss plugged into never tipped them off to the double cross. That could only mean one of two things. Either the pro-Moscow philosophers had intervened, or the anti-Moscow philosophers had been turned. Either way, it was a situation their American counterparts couldn't stand. To preserve the philosopher's good name, and to repay her debt, so to speak, the boss once again made her way into the Soviet Union. There, she found herself face to face with the Soviets' own agent.
You know, Eva's a great storyteller, I'll give her that.
And who should she find awaiting her return to Russia? The one who turned her sleeper against her. Who'd fed them lies all this time. It was her former comrade in arms.
Oh shit.
The father of her child.
The
man
Sorrow.
known as the Sorrow.
Yeah.
He didn't know it was the boss who'd sent the sleeper. Or to be more precise, the Soviet philosophers never told him. Former lovers, forced to fight to the death. One would live and one would die, she told me. That was the revenge the Soviet philosophers had in store for me. If both of them survived, their child would suffer in their place. They were left with no other option. The boss shot him. He offered no resistance. When she returned from the Soviet Union, there was no place left for her to go. She'd sacrificed everything. Everything. For her country. And in return, they treated her like a dead woman. She was made a scapegoat for no good reason. Only because power had changed hands in Washington. Any lesser being would have long since cracked. It was then that one of her old SAS comrades reached out to her. Major Zero.
I remember.
And so Fox was born. She undertook a mission that, well, you should know better than anybody. You are a part of it. 20 days after Shepard's flight, President Kennedy announced that America would put a man on the moon. Without the intelligence the boss obtained, America's space program would never have caught up. Armstrong and Aldrin might never have walked on the moon, but the Americans' gain had cost the boss her health, her honor, and the man she loved. The word tragedy doesn't even begin to describe what she endured. The Soviets continued their manned space flights, and in 1963, Valentina Tereshkova became the so-called first woman in space. It's said they took their cue from NASA's long-buried Mercury Lady project. And so that, Snake, is the mission that kept her away from you for so long. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why not use me as her agent? She knew I'd never even think of betraying her. I think it's because she didn't want to drag you into it. She probably knew what was going to happen. To complete the mission, she'd have to turn to the philosophers, and once she did that, whatever came of it, there'd be a price to pay. No one understood that better than her. So please, Snake, let it go. When she gave me the photo, she left me to decide whether or not to pass it along to you. I know she was torn about it, just as I was. She knew you'd probably blame yourself. Why did she hold on to it for so long? That, I can't say. To remind her of how much it hurt to be erased. She wasn't that kind of person. No. I think she meant it to be a message to you. She had her identity, her life, taken away. But she wanted you, of all people, to know the truth. Snake, you've probably already figured this out, but it's no accident that I'm only now sending you something I've withheld for so long. Little Bird tells me you recently made a big decision. You and the boss are different people. I understand that. And I'm not trying to second guess you. I simply wanted you to know what she saw, how she felt. That's all. Keep it with you, Snake. Keep it deep inside. Don't ever forget the path she took. Because you and I are the only people on this earth who know the truth.
Boss, I'm sorry, but I can't.
Shit. Emotional damage. We'll do another Metal Gear battle after that. Lore and tragedy dump.
Combat.
Auto combat. Whew. Heavy stuff. Send out some invitations. I don't know if you're still watching. There's one for you. Send out one more for good measure. Get some more parts for Zeke. Might wait for people to pop in. I'm gonna go. Let's do it now that I remember to turn my mic on. I know you didn't mean it literally, but it would be funny and very Kojima thing to do if if the boss literally ate your weapons, like just gobble them up. I feel like that could be a Metal Gear Solid boss, but you know, it wouldn't be somebody that can eat guns or something. All right. God damn, these streams always go by so quickly. Can't believe it's almost 2 hours already. True. She does that badass thing where she picks it apart.
Get rid of the cocoon. If anybody can handle something this big, it's you. Get out of there. Run. Nobody won't do anything against a gun like that.
sounds like she's doing the, doing like that. Oh! Do something really stupid.
They're about to commence the requested supporting fire. Stay clear.
Heck yeah.
You're gonna want to take out that weapon before jumping on.
Let's do it again.
They've okayed the request for supporting fire. It should commence any second now.
Ah!
The shock dislodged the ladder on the side of the treads. You can use that to get on top.
Let's do it. Ah! Or not.
See the ladder on the turret?
I'm working on it! Ah! Ow!
Over here.
Use the ladder.
Ah! No!
Attack the AI pod to destroy its hatch. It's the cylindrical structure. Hurry up and get in the AI pod. Otherwise
Somebody else could get inside? I thought it was just the host. Okay, who gets the parts though? I guess at least I get to finally see what the heck happens.
maybe you can buy some time by attacking the
Everybody. Okay, that's good. Ah. Oh shit. Ah. Like, it would kind of suck if I was doing this mission to get those parts and... It's like that guy was the only one that got it. Something's happening. It's cool to finally see, right, yeah. It's cool if I see what it's like on the outside while the other person is inside, because I've only been on the inside so far. Right. It seems kind of douchey, though. Oh. Hey, I got your I got your stuff. Holy moly. It seems like a lot, but I guess if you've played this game for so long, then you probably have an overabundance. Thank you. So your package finally arrived. Sign here, please. So looks like I need more pink parts. And head. Go ahead and do one more.
Snake. I've never seen it.
I need to make sure to grab pink ones for sure. Oh, you're in a mission? No worries. I mean, him and I can do this. I mean, we could do just 2 people, right? Alright, so I need to focus on getting the pink ones. And then I'll probably call it a night. It's getting late. Sun's getting real low.
Engaging shock unit.
Aim for the cylindrical AI pod! If you destroy the boosters on the left and right, you can stop it from charging at you!
Ah, no!
Engaging shock unit.
Hold the hatch and climb into the AI pod! You should be able to get in the AI pod!
No! Wait! Let me do it! Let me do it! Oh, I see there's people up there. Is that where, crap, what's his name? The guy that always has the Hershey squirts? Don't tell me. God, what was his name? Alright.
Pull out all the AI's memory boards before the pod's ejected. The black memory boards are locked. Go after the boards with icons over them. memory boards by destroying the mechanical components that they control. Any boards you remove can be used to build our own AI weapon. Memory boards have different functions according to the icons displayed over them. Go ahead and take whichever ones you want.
I want all the pink ones. Oh, can I get one more? Can I get another? No! Hello? What the hell's happening? Oh no. Oh, okay, I thought it was gonna make me I thought it was gonna make me start over. Sounds like the other guy got disconnected. Alternate ending. Snake just gets stuck in the pod.
That was an unmanned weapon. A prototype. There's no need for a human.
Thanks, Lobo92.
Snake, the doctor's safe here.
Okay. Oh. I got a volunteer. Well, because I'll just stick them in there for now. Alright, do I have enough pink parts now? AI storage. Okay. I don't think this was here before. Okay, how do I get more walk units? Because that seems to be the main one I'm missing. Walk units for Zeke. Okay. Okay. Looks like I'm on the right track. So I'll try to fight, the next time I play, I'll try to fight one of the ones that has legs. So that way I can collect them. But that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you, General 700 Plus, for tuning in, and everybody else. And if you're watching on YouTube later, thank you as well. I'm excited to get more into Chapter 5 and to finish the game's main story. But I'll more than likely be back Friday night to continue. So thanks for the help again, and to any of the other players that hung out tonight. It's much appreciated. It's similar into like the Soulsborne games, whereas like if you're having trouble with the boss, you can like ring the bell and have them come help you. There's totally a squirrel in my ceiling. If I'm real quiet, maybe you can hear it. Nope, of course now he decides to be quiet. I'm gonna have to report that to my landlord. Lovely. Good night.